Filmora is one of the easiest video editing applications available, and in this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to edit a project inside of Filmora. So if you're new to editing or if you're new to Filmora, this should show you everything you need to know. I've been editing for 15 years. I've covered Filmora and other editing apps on this channel, so hopefully I could show you everything you need to know to go from a beginner to an advanced user inside of Filmora. Okay, the very first thing is we need to download the latest version of Filmora. So go to their website. They do update this every year, and I'll point out some of the new options as I'm making this video. Every year I make a new version of this video. Get started for free. This will download it to your Mac or to your PC. They do have a version of it for the phone too, but I highly recommend you try to use it on a computer here. Now I'll show you this pricing page too. So you could get started for free, but you will have issues with some watermarks that you may want to remove at the end. You don't have to. You could watch this whole tutorial, follow along without paying anything. And then if you decide to pay, it's a yearly subscription. So you could just pay once a year, and it's very affordable compared to the other subscription video editing apps that are available. Now, once you install Filmora, this is the page that you're gonna see. And I'm gonna start here with step number 1, which is creating a new project and importing all your different videos and audio and photos into your editing project. To create a new project, right on the left side here, you should be on this tab, create a project. And the first thing you want to do is you want to change your aspect ratio. So if you're making a YouTube video, you want to be on 16:9. But if you're making a YouTube Shorts or TikTok video, for example, you want to be on this vertical 9:16. And they have different options available too. In this case, I'm making a YouTube video, so I'm going to choose 16:9 and click on New Project. And your recent projects will always appear over here on this homepage. So you could go ahead and jump it back into any project you've created before. And this is inside of Filmora. So we're going to go ahead and import our media over here, which is going to be our videos, our audio, and our images. I'll just briefly show you what you're looking at, but you'll get more sense of it when we start editing. But over here, all your clips that you import will appear here. Over here is going to be the preview of your edited project as you start making it. It's black right now. This is going to change depending on what kind of things you're doing. This is going to be your project information, but it changes constantly. And down here is called your timeline. All your video editing will take place down here. So let's go ahead and press import to import our media. And let me show you how I organize my projects, because as you edit more and more, if you don't keep your projects organized, it becomes a whole mess. I've learned this over time. So I create a folder called Filmora Tutorial, and inside of that folder, I create these 6 different folders. So one for my saved project files, one for anything that I'm gonna export out. That's my finished video that I'm gonna upload to YouTube. All my original footage, stuff I've captured from my camera, from my phone that I've airdropped, stuff I've downloaded online, I put them all into a footage folder. Then I have music. So I got this from a platform called Epidemic Sound, but I'll talk to you about royalty-free music a little bit later when we get to audio and music. Pictures, I've downloaded some from free websites here. And any graphic, I don't have any, but if you want a subscribe icon, things like that, you could get those from other platforms. They also have some inside of this platform, Filmora. So right now, I'm gonna bring in my footage. So I'm gonna select this whole folder, and I'll go ahead and open it up, and then we want to select everything in here and import it. It says create a proxy. No, this is a little more advanced. You don't need to worry about that. And then this is all my different clips that I imported. So here's me talking, for example. I could just kind of go over this just to show you a little preview of what each clip looks like. You just hover over like this. So now we want to get to the second step. So step 1 was creating a project and importing our media. Step 2 is our basic editing. So to create some edits, all we do is right here, let's say this is the very first clip I want to use, this second one here. I'm going to double click it. It's going to preview it for us over here. Now, if I want to use this in my actual edit, right now it's not, I'm just previewing it. I could go ahead and decide which part of it I want to use. So if I go, let's say I want to start it here. Well, right over here, there is this in point. If I click it, it creates a little in point, meaning when I add this to my edit, it starts here instead of the beginning. And then as I keep going here, I could just go ahead and preview this. And by the way, if you press spacebar on your keyboard, that will play it too. So you could play it here or with a spacebar. And let's say I want to end it right over here. I'm going to press this out point, this little marker. So this is a keyboard shortcut for it is O for out and I for in. I and O are going to come in handy. And now if I just grab and drag and drop it down here to my timeline, and I'll go in the very beginning and put it right over here. This is going to give me this pop-up, again, more advanced, so just press match to media. This just ensures that however you created this video is the same thing as this timeline. They just have to technically match. Again, you don't have to worry much about that. Okay, now if you look down here, it only put the section that I wanted. So the in point and out point gave me this clip. Then you could see that little preview is showing that I'm only using this section. The grayed out section I'm not using. But I could always change my mind down here, and I could stretch it out like this to show the section that I'm not including. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second. Right now, what I want to do is double click on the next one. Do I want to use, again, what section of it? I for in, go a little bit later. O for out, and then I'll make sure it snaps next to this one. Right now, I let it go before it snapped next to the other one, so it's going to have a little black section in between. We don't want that. We want to make sure it snaps next to it. So now if I take this red line, I could go ahead and preview. It goes from this clip to this clip, exactly like what I want. I'll click on the next one, same kind of thing, in point, out point, and I'll go ahead and drag it and put it over here. Just to show you down here, if you do have a gap, your finished video will go from this clip, and then it will go to a black section and then back to the next clip. You don't want that, so you always want to make sure, select that black area, press the delete sign, or just grab and make sure they all snap. So we have 3 different clips right now in our edit. If I go at the end of it, by the way, you could see how long your actual edit is. So all this time, this 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So right now I'm roughly at the 8-second mark, and I'll continue editing this way. If you want to use the entire clip and not put in points and out points, you could always grab it and bring the whole clip down here too. So again, I'm going to match to media. So you could do that, and then you could make decisions down here. I'll bring in one that has me talking. So this is a long one. I'll bring the whole thing down here just to show you what happens. Let's say I want to make some cuts here, and I didn't do it the way I did with the other clips. Well, all we have to do is, if you look over here, you got a bunch of different tools available. But this one right here, it looks like a little scissors icon. This is a split tool. So if I click it, wherever this line is, you can see this little split tool makes a cut here. So now I could select the beginning part of this and press delete, and it got rid of that beginning part. Now, if you're new to editing, it doesn't permanently delete that, right? It deletes it for your edit. It's still there though. So if I grab the end of this, I could bring it back like this. So you're not destroying the footage. You're not permanently deleting it. You're just making some changes in the edit. So I'll go ahead and bring that back to where I started. Okay, so next one is, let's say this whole section, I don't want to keep that. Let's say I made a mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and split it there. I'll go a little bit later where I start talking again. That's how I could see with these waveforms when I'm done talking and when I start again. I'll cut again, and this time I'm going to delete something in the middle, and it'll snap what's there after that. Okay, so now I basically cut out a useless chunk of me talking, and that's how you do basic editing. Anytime you could select a section and move it out like this if you want to bring in another section in between. So this is how you would go ahead and move things around. You could select 2 different clips like this and move them around, or even a bunch of different clips like this and then move them around. Okay, you don't want these black sections though. So you want to make sure you select those and delete them so your video never cuts to a blank section. All right, so we have these shots, we have me talking about it, back to these shots, me talking about it again. Okay, so that's all the editing for you to get started. Go through all these clips, add as many as you want, add in points or out points, or make trims down here to any that you want to add. And that brings us to step number 3, which is adding B-roll. So what's B-roll exactly? Well, right now I'm talking, and in this section, for example, I was talking and then I cut to something else and then it came back to me. Well, in that case, I'm not talking anymore, right? This clip took over and it interrupted me talking. So B-roll is when you layer that clip that I'm talking about on top of me talking, so I could continue to talk, or whoever's talking, you could continue to talk and show what I'm talking about. That's called B-roll. So in order to do that, you need to understand the different levels and different tracks here. So right now I've been doing everything on one track called video track 1. But in this case, I'm gonna actually bring in another clip like this. And again, I'm gonna put in points and out points on this too, okay? Now, if I grab this one, I could put it on a different track on top, like this. Now, it went to me talking and now to B-roll, but if I press play, you could still hear me, which is exactly what we want to happen here. As soon as this part is done, it's gonna cut back to me automatically. Okay, so you could continue to add B-roll on top. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this so it cuts to me a little bit sooner. There we go. So this is B-roll. When it's on a different track, it always shows whatever the top track is on your finished edit, as you could see up here. Now for the next step, let's talk about actually working with audio and adding music. Typically when you're done with your edit, you make any audio adjustments and add music to really make this a much better edit. Right now, this is me talking, but as you could see, if I go to this clip, there's also audio over here that I don't want. That came just from what was recorded on my phone. I don't want that. So if I select it to delete that audio, I can't do that. It deletes the whole clip. So I'm gonna go over here, press this little arrow to undo. So this is gonna come in handy. Undo and redo are up here. And you could learn little keyboard shortcuts when you get more advanced at editing. What I could do is I could actually right click on this. I'm on a Mac, so I'm gonna control and click. And there's an option right here where it separates your audio. It's called detach audio. The audio is still there, but you could see now it put it on a whole new track down here. When it does that, then I could delete the audio and the video stays. In this case, that's what I wanted to do. In other cases, you may want to change the audio's volume, and I'm going to go ahead and detach this one again too, detach audio, and it's now on its own track. And if I select this audio, you could see on the right side, we have all kinds of things we could do with our audio. So we could fade in or fade out the audio. We could actually go ahead and balance it out a little bit more. We could actually raise the volume level too over here, which is this slider right here. This will raise the volume. Right now, this was recorded in good volume, but sometimes if you're not using a professional camera like this and a professional microphone like this, you may not get good audio, so you may have to raise the volume, and you do all of those things over here. Now, there's some AI tools. There's this section right here. If I click it, this will bring up something called Filmora Copilot, brand new option that lets you do all kinds of different things related to audio using AI. And you could even type in a prompt over here and use AI that way. But right now, I want to show you just how to get started as an editor without relying on AI. That's going to make it a little bit easier later on, though, once you know the basics of editing, to add AI to it. AI is not going to take care of all of it for you, though. Now, in this step, I also want to add music. So let me show you down here. I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to add an audio track because I used the other one up. So I need to add a new one. Now, audio track number 2, audio 2, is going to become our music track. And I don't have any music right now because I only brought in my footage. So let's go over here, and I'm going to bring in more. So I'm going to right click and import. You could also do that from the top menu. And in my folder, I had a folder called music, and I'm going to bring in this song right here. So that's going to get added, and you could see it has a different icon. The footage has the preview, the music does not. So I'm going to add this down here to this audio channel, and this is going to become my music. And again, you can see as soon as I drop it, I have all these options with the volume. So in this case, I do want to lower the volume to this number right here. You see it says -30. So I'll just type that in. I'll type in -30, so it's an even number. And this is dB. So that's the volume. Now you don't have to know much about that. It's just if you press play right now, and if this was at 0, you couldn't hear me. The audio takes over. I'll just show you as an example. If you're trying to find the best editing app for YouTube videos, I want to show you the top 5 editing apps. You could hear me talking and the music is there. But if this was back to 0 where we started, let me show you what it sounds like. Editing app for YouTube videos, I want to show you the top 5 editing apps that are available. Okay, that's not a good video, right? You can't really hear me. So lower this. Sometimes it's -30, sometimes it's -25. Really depends on the music. Now, for where to get this music from, a couple of different options. So up here, I'm under the media tab. They have something called stock media, which is a bunch of different things that they include with this platform, with Filmora, that you could go ahead and download. They have different audio tracks that you could go ahead and choose from based on different categories, but it's a bit limited. So let me show you another option. There is a platform called Epidemic Sound, and I'll go ahead and link it in the description below this video. They're sponsoring this video, and I've been using them for quite some time. And with Epidemic Sound, they have a massive library, one of the biggest music libraries available. And if you're going to publish this on any social media platform, you want to make sure you choose a platform like this because they give you what's called royalty-free music. It doesn't have any copyright issues because you're getting permission to use it. Now, these are typically something you have to subscribe to, but if you're elevating your editing, definitely choosing music that is quality like this elevates it. Even though some of the other platforms have a limited library, this is going to give you a massive library. And it also not only gives you music, and you could choose based on categories, it also gives you sound effects. Now, another thing it does is you could search by your own video. So if you choose this option, you could drop a video clip like that submarine clip, and it will go ahead and analyze that, and then it will suggest the music that matches that video. So if I show you from the suggestion, I could use this drone shot, get recommendations, and it only gives me recommendations that fit that type of video. So now I could do a quick preview. Okay, if I like that for what I'm making, I just press download right over here, and then I'm gonna download it as a full track, and I'm gonna change this to WAV. I like this format better than MP3. And then once it got downloaded, I had that in that folder and I dragged it into this project and then I brought it down here. So that's Epidemic Sound. Again, link below in the description so you could try it out for yourself if you need music for your video editing. Okay, next, let's get to adding some text and titles. So if you go over here in the beginning, I'm gonna add some text. So there's a T tool right here, and this lets you quickly add text. So quick text is gonna go ahead and add another layer, video layer 2, and this is my text layer now. And you could see that text up here, so I could type in whatever I want. So your video title will be typed out here. And then if you select this, you have all these different options for styling it. So there's a whole lot. This is obviously way too small. I'm gonna go ahead and make this like 90 here. And if with any of these, you could select this track and then you could go ahead and move this around. So you'll put it somewhere at the beginning. This looks a little bit cheesy. Let's try different style. Okay, this is a little bit better. Let's change the outline to maybe white. Okay, so something like that. Okay, that's adding text, but sometimes you want to add titles. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And you have a title tab on top, which has a bunch of different effects that are more interesting. So if I want to add a title that is being typed out, okay, I'll add that. Let me press play on this to show you what this looks like. Okay, more interesting. Again, I could double click it here and type your own title here. And then you still have all these settings, but now you have a little bit of animation that you could use. Okay, so there's a bunch of them over here. So you could just drag and drop any of them down here. It's gonna go ahead and download it. Let me delete the other one. And this one looks like that. Okay, next is adding transitions. So if you go up here, by the way, you see we kind of started working our way from left to right. So we talked about adding our media, any stocks we needed, adding audio and music, adding title. Now we're at the transition tab, and transition is simply what happens when a clip ends. I'm gonna go ahead and actually extend this out with this. So this is one clip ending and another clip starting. What's happening in between the two is a transition. Right now, there is no transition, meaning it just cuts from one to another. Very common in every movie that you've seen, but for online video, you may wanna use a transition to spice it up. And on the left side here, you have different transition categories. Fade and dissolve is my favorite because these are the most common transitions. And if I drag and drop it between clips like this, it applies that transition. I'll show you this one right now. Let me put it on mute, press play. Okay, that's a transition. It's very long, so I'm gonna grab it like this and make it much shorter. Let's press play again. Okay, much better. So that's called a dissolve, the most popular transition in the world of editing, but there's a whole bunch more. I actually like this fade to white, so I'm gonna replace that. Let's see that one. Okay, nice fade to white. Now next we have effects and filters. So transition took place between clips, effects takes place on top of a clip. So if I wanna change the look of this clip right here, I could add these different types of effects and each one does something totally different. So this one is a basic blur. If I double click it, you could see exactly what that looks like. Right, this one is going to make it look like that. And then if you like it, just grab it and drop it on top of your clip, and then it applies it to your edit. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So double clicking it previews what it would look like, and then if you like what it would look like, just drop it on top of your clip, and then it will blur the clip. So I'll go ahead and undo that for now. Then under filters, same type of thing, but it changes kind of the look and color of your video here. So there's a bunch of them again available. So if I just grab and drag this one on top, you can see made a slight change, kind of hard to see. So let me choose something a little bit more drastic. This one, black and white, drag and drop. It changes my clip right now into black and white. Okay, so very easy to add these effects and filters. Now you also have all kinds of different stickers. So with stickers, pretty straightforward. You could grab them and put them on another video track. It's going to go ahead and download it, and they look like this. And now if I select this one, I could go ahead and change how big it is. So if I take this slider, the scale slider, I could make it smaller, and I could click it and put it somewhere else, like this corner, for example. Okay, so that's how you add stickers. And this is too long, so if you click on the split tool, it's gonna split it, so you could erase the rest of it, and it will just end after this clip. So at the end of each project, you gotta make sure your video kind of ends with your audio. So right now my music ends here, but I'm talking. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this shorter, and I'm gonna go ahead and trim the music down. Okay, now it's snapping to this. So now my music and audio end at the same time, which takes us to the next step, which is saving our project. And then we wanna export our video, two different things. Go to File and go to Save Project As. This lets you come back to this project to keep editing this project. This doesn't save a video file though. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Now by default, if you just name this, so your project name will go here, and you wanna name everything so you know what it is when you come back to it, it will change it and put it into your Wondershare Filmora folder in your projects. But as I mentioned, I keep everything organized together, so I'm gonna go to that folder instead. And in my Filmora tutorial, I made a folder called Project Files, so I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna save it in there. Okay, that's how I prefer to organize things. So my footage, my music, and my project files are all in the same folder. I've been doing it for about 15 years of editing. That brings us to the very last step, which you'll see an icon for right up here called Export. If you click on it, it's gonna open up this window. And right now you have a few different options. I would recommend you save this on this local tab and put this on your computer. And then from your computer, you could upload to YouTube or anywhere else you go. So you would just name your project, save based on the folder that you would choose. Again, same thing, choose the right folder. The presets match to project setting. That's typically what you want to choose. And the format you want MP4. That's the best format available for internet videos right now. Pretty much any video, I would choose that. The resolution, you should know that by default, but you can change that if you're more advanced and you know what this is, but recommended is what you want typically. And usually all these are good. It's going to show you the file size. This is going to be 86 megabytes, and it's going to show you the length of the final video. There is an option right here under social media. You can log in directly to your YouTube, to your Vimeo, or your TikTok and post there. I don't like to do it that way. I like to save it to my computer and then open up YouTube and drop it myself. I have more control there. Now, at this point, if you use any of these premium options, so it looks like that black and white filter I used was a premium option, so I could go ahead and remove it, and it will still have a watermark if you're not paying at all. So typically, this is where you might want to purchase. In this case, I'm going to remove these and then just do the export, but I do have a paid version of it. If you don't, it's going to have a watermark across your video, which is probably not what you want. But hopefully after this video, you got a good sense if Filmora is easy enough for you, if it's exactly what you're looking for, then you could go ahead and subscribe to it. Again, I'll link it below for you to go ahead and find it. And there we go. Now this is edited. I'll go to this folder and there's my project right here. I'll press spacebar. I forgot to change the beginning title, but you get the idea. This is a 1 minute and 32 second video and it's MP4, so I could go ahead and drag and drop it to any social media platform I want to upload it to. So that's a complete crash course in using Filmora to edit your video projects. All the steps are included below, including any resource I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.